What's going on, everybody? Thanks for stopping by to check out this video. Today, I'm going to give you an update of this portfolio. If you're new, I share an update every single month showing all of the dividends that I've received in this investment portfolio, as well as show you how it's performed. And ultimately, I want to bring you along my personal investing journey so I can help bring complete transparency into what it's like to actually invest, in hopes that it can inspire you to take action on your own investments so you can achieve your financial freedom and live the life that you want to live. So right now, the portfolio is at $43,621. The total return thus far from a money-weighted rate of return perspective is about 108%, and that's all time. So I started investing back in January of 2020, so over 5 years at this point, just to give you guys a little context from when this started. But if we zoom into the past month or so, the total return has been about $332. About $245 of that was from capital gains, so that's the appreciation of the stock prices themselves, and then about $87 in dividends earned. So looking at a percentage again, that's about 0.77%. And as you can see here in the graph over the past month, pretty up and down to start July, and then towards the end of July, it really picked up, and then it crashed back down again. And then getting to where we are today, it picked back up just a little bit. So we ended the month just a little bit above from where we began. Overall, not too bad. But for me personally, I'm not really focused on 1 month. I'm more focused on the long term. So while this is good to see, ultimately it doesn't have a major bearing on me right now because I plan to stay invested for a very long time. But just to look at some of the companies that actually performed good, the two best performing areas were industrials and technology. So you can see here that industrials had a pretty good month actually. They were up over 4.8%. So if we click in there just to see some of these companies, we can see that Genuine Parts Company, it holds the most weight in this particular pie. And because of that, any fluctuation they have is going to have a greater impact overall. But they were up about 4.74%. Caterpillar had a pretty good month, over 7% there. And then Fastenal actually had a really good month as well. They performed the best, and that was over 9%. So pretty good from industrial. Normally they don't have too many fluctuations, but this month they did all right. And then looking at technology, Broadcom, man, this company has been killing it for me for the past couple years, but they had a great month as well, up over 9.6%. Apple was pretty stagnant, and actually Texas Instruments performed pretty poorly, down over 13%. But overall, just with the weights and everything, Broadcom really helped pull this up, so that's why technology was in the green. And then our worst performing sector was over in real estate. They were down over 3.2%. So as you can see, it's red all the way across the board. Brookfield Infrastructure Partners, they took a pretty big hit, down over 9%. And then most of the other companies were down in that 2 to 4% range. So definitely not a good month for real estate, but with some of the other sectors being in the green, ultimately we did finish all right. And before we hop into the dividends, I actually did want to show you guys a new feature here that M1 Finance did release, and I think it's actually pretty cool. So historically, you could only look at the money weighted rate of return. They never had time weighted before, but now they added that option in, so you can view your portfolio from a time weighted rate of return perspective. And then additionally, you can actually see how you have performed against certain benchmarks. By default, M1 loads up VT, which is Vanguard's Total World ETF, and then another one called AOR, which looks like iShares Core Growth Allocation. Not exactly sure what that's comprised of, but you can totally remove it. You can add your own benchmarks as well. So for me personally, I can see that my portfolio compared to this VT has actually been outperforming it. And like I said before, you can add any company. So if I want to see how I performed against if I was just holding Apple, for example, I can stick Apple in here. Clearly, you can see that Apple has totally outperformed me. So some pretty cool analytics you can get into. All right, so now let's hop into the dividends and see what we actually got paid out this month. And this is going to be a month where I had less payments just because the first month of the quarter typically does have fewer payments. But we started off with $1.04 from Nike, Now, historically, Nike has been a pretty low-paying dividend company, but they have been able to grow their share price quite substantially. But I like this company just because they have such a large presence all over the world. They're invested in so many different things. So I think there's going to be a lot of good potential with Nike for the foreseeable future. Following that is Coca-Cola, $4.15 from them. Then we go to Genuine Parts Company. They paid out $8.29. Then we have an ETF, and this is from Vanguard. This is their VTI, which has a few thousand companies, but it tracks companies that are low cap, mid cap, and large cap. So you kind of get the best of the entire stock market, but they paid about $13.55. Then we got a dividend payment from Vici Properties. They paid $10.54. And if you guys aren't familiar with Vici, they own a lot of real estate on the Las Vegas Strip. So many of those big casinos that you're familiar with, Caesar's Palace, MGM, Vici actually owns those buildings, and then those gaming companies pay rent to Vici. So I kind of like holding this one just because it does diversify the real estate a little bit. It hasn't been killing it by any means, but just some good diversification, and that's always a good thing in my opinion. Then we go into a more traditional real estate investment trust company. If you are a dividend focused investor, you're probably already familiar with this company, but this is Realty Income Corporation, and these guys actually pay a dividend out monthly. So this month they paid $6.40. Next is DTE Energy. This is an electrical utility based out of Detroit, Michigan. $3.11 is what they paid. And utility companies, you're not going to see too many fluctuations. That's kind of the trend. They're pretty slow and steady growth. Next is Stag Industrial, and this is another monthly paying company. This month they paid $2.68. Then we have the Food Distribution Company. This is Cisco Corporation, $4.66 from them. We got $7.90 from the SPHD ETF. This is an ETF that tracks higher dividend yielding companies that tend to have lower volatility in the S&P 500. Overall, I've had much better performance with investing in an ETF like Vanguard's VTI, so I really haven't been funneling too much more money into this one. And then we are going to round the month out with JP Morgan, one of the world's largest banks, and they paid out $7.77. So when we add everything up, the total dividend income for this month comes to about $70.09. So I added that here into my dividend tracking spreadsheet, which you guys can totally take for free if you want. Just click the link down in the description. You can click File, make a copy, and then you can start to input your own numbers in here as well. And one thing I did add is I broke these dividend payments down into different time frames. So I take the most recent 3 months of dividend payments and then I break it down into hourly, daily, weekly, and monthly. Just helps give me a little better perspective on what these dividends are actually earning me. So every single hour, for example, if this is a 40-hour work week, very similar to your 9-to-5 job, this portfolio is earning me about 50 cents every single hour from doing absolutely nothing. So I know everyone's on a different time frame. Some of you are probably earning a lot more than me, and that's awesome. And some of you may be earning a lot less. But either way, if you stick to a good set of investing principles, you can definitely keep growing this number as long as you're able to invest in good quality companies that continuously increase their dividend payouts year after year. You reinvest your dividends back into the portfolio. And then if you're able to, if you can contribute a certain amount every single month to keep feeding your portfolio, you're definitely going to start to see that compounding effect. And in the long run, you're going to be sitting pretty. So that's the portfolio, guys. Thank you so much for taking the time to check this out. I really appreciate you stopping by. Let me know down in the comments how much you've earned over the past month, or if you just have any questions about investing in general. I'd love to hear it. If you guys did enjoy the video, feel free to hit that like button. And if you want more content from me, you can hit that subscribe button as well. Thanks again, and until next time, take it easy.